So we're gonna try to translate, solve, and graph one-step inequality today. So our goal is to translate, solve, graph inequalities using keywords, observation, and number line. So I'll skip that. So our direction gonna be you translate first, then you solve using inverse operation, and then you graph and identify the first solution. Okay. So again, we review some words that might come up in this verbal inequalities. So if you could say the word maximum, at most, no more than, the symbol that we're going to use is less or equal to. If we have the word that says smaller than, less than, below, or fewer than, we're going to use the word, the symbol less than. If it is this sign, greater than, we could use the word more than, greater than, larger than, or above. The symbol that is like greater or equal to, we get the minimum, at least, or no less than. Those are the words that could help us identify which inequality we're going to use. Right? One more thing I would like to remind you. So if we divide inequalities that has negative integers, so for example, I have 3x equal less than 9, let's say, for example. So now we're gonna divide, when we solve this, we're gonna divide both sides, right? So I could divide this with -3, and I could divide this with -3. So again, if you remember the rules, when you divide or multiply inequalities with negative integer, negative number, okay, we reverse the inequality only when you divide or multiply. So in this case, we're dividing both with negative numbers, so it means that gonna change into that is less than, that becomes greater than. Then we could divide this, -3 divided by -3 is 1, so we have 1x, and then 9 divided by -3 is -3. So we change that relationship in that inequality when we divide or multiply inequalities. So let's say another example that I could write. For example, we have x over -2. Let's say it's greater than 5. So the easy way to do this is cross multiply, right? If you remember ratio and proportion, this is just one step inequality. So what we could do is just cross multiply, or we multiply both sides by -2. We multiply this by -2. We multiply this by -2, right? So -2 times with -2. Or usually we could put it over here so that you're not gonna get confused. We're gonna multiply it with -2, and that with -2, because this one we could cancel out, right? We could cancel this out because that is equivalent to 1. -2 divided by -2 is 1. So what remains here is x, and since we multiply both by -2, that gonna change relationship going to the other side, because we're comparing it now to the other side of the inequality. 5 times -2 is -10, and that only happens when you have dividing or multiplying with negative integer. Question for that one? We're good? We clarify? Alright, let's move ahead. Set, I want you to try it first, solving on your own, and then we'll talk about it. So the quotient of x and 3 is less than or equal to 5. And then the difference between x and 4 is greater than 10. Want you to try it first, and I'll work with you. Go ahead. I give you, let's do 3 minutes. Do we need a timer, or we don't need a timer? We don't need a timer. But let's just time this one. Alright, go ahead. So let's try this problem set. So it says here that the quotient of the pen x and 3 is less than or equal to 5. So the quotient means a fraction. So the quotient of x and 3, right? And since it's less than or equal to, so less than or equal to 5. We cannot just grab 5 in here. We have to really solve the inequality first to find the possible solution. All right. So in this case, we're gonna multiply both sides by 3. We're gonna multiply this by 3, and we're gonna multiply this by 3, right? Because that is divide. The opposite of divide with the inverse operation is multiply. So now we're gonna have x is less or equal to, and that's where we get 15. So since our graph is open, it doesn't have a number, we could just plot anywhere else in that number line 15. So I could put it here if you want, right? And since it is less or equal to, I could just make it dark because 15 is one of the possible answer. And since it is less, so we're gonna go this side. Wait, where am I? This side. Okay, that will be our graph. So now if we need to know what are the possible solution, we could just give the first 3. So you got 15, 14 because it's less, and then 13. So you got 15, 14, and 13. And to play safe, just put the dot dot. That means you have the answer all the way down. Okay, let's look at the next question. The next example. The difference between x and 4 is greater than 10. So we could say the difference means minus of x and 4. The difference of x and 4, it says, is greater. So that is greater than 10. So we cannot just grab 10 right away. We have to solve it first. So now we're going to do plus 4. Both sides. This plus 4 and then plus 4. Okay. So we do plus 4 because that's minus 4. So now x, that becomes 0. We're not changing the inequality because we're not dividing with negative number, and that is 14. Alright, so before you could grab 14, you just have to solve it first. So anywhere in this number line is we could put 14. So I put 14 here, and it is an open dot because it's not equal to, and since it's greater, I could go to the right side of the number line. And then if you want to know what are the possible solution, 14 is not possible solution because it should be greater than 14. So the first possible answer is 15, 16, 17, and so on. Okay, there you go. Question on this one? You guys could take a screenshot if you want, so you have an idea how it's done, because when I click this, it's gonna go away. Anybody else? No question? You're good? Alright, I want you to try the next question. So you could try this one. The product of x and 7 is not greater than 21. And then x reduced by 13 is at least 15. Go ahead, work on this. So here, so you divide both sides by 7, that's correct. So now x will be less than 3. Now all you do is a graph. This one, you plus 3 both sides, that's correct. Keep working on it. So here, 7x divided by, that's correct. X should be less or equal to under 3. That is correct. That's 3. So next time you don't need to write those numbers. It look like 23, 45. Okay, you just write 3 and then you could, just like what you've done in the 28. Alright, Zelina, this is not supposed to be equals 28. You really have to write the less or equal to sign. The equals 28 could be your possible solution, but here in this work, it should really be x is greater or equal to 28. So change that. Your teacher will not be happy for that one. Change this equal, or is this changes to greater or equal to instead of equal sign. So here is, that's correct. You really then you have to apply it. Wait. Quick question. Wait, why did you change your inequality? You only changed it when you divide with negatives, but if you don't divide it with negative, you keep the sign. Yep, you keep it. Okay. All right, finish it up. Selena, fix that, and then we move forward. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I'm okay with it. Just keep it like that. It's fine. Good fixing. Selena, you're gonna write greater or equal to sign, and then I'll move to the next question. Again, you only, guys, switch your inequality when you divide or multiply, not when you add. When you divide and multiply. Alright, so we're good at this. We're moving along. Let's go to the next question. Are we learning negatives? So I'm getting confused. What are you wait. We're all this together, like all the negatives 1. Ask me what it is. But before you do that, let me see. X diminished by 5 is less than 8. So x multiplied by 11 is less or equal to 22. Wait, you did not try to work on this problem. So I like the way you write your what do you call that, your problem. I mean you solve it -5 both sides, and you're right here, and then your graph. The only missing thing that you need to do is x equals what are the possible solution. So you could just say 12, 13, 12, 11, 10. Here, this is perfect. I like it. But actually, you don't need to write it on the edge, so you could put it in the middle all the time. You label them anyway. So, Kenneth, the only thing that you're missing is your possible solution, okay? Here you go, Selena. So, this is fine. This is okay. Why are you put this, so I want you to do it this way, alright? So, at least we have, so you're gonna really put it here, x is less than 13. And here you could say x equals, it should be less than 13. So you could just write x, it's less than 13, so it's 12, 11. You really have to identify your answers. So I don't know how your teachers do that, but this is usually what we got. This one, you put it here. You don't have to rewrite it back. Here, this one, you really have to write it. Okay, so you don't have no space, but you could write it underneath over here. Okay, and you really have to put this part over here also. It has to be complete. It has to be both sides. Then your x equals to 2 and lower. That is okay. That's an okay answer. But if you really have written x equals 2, 3, it's even less than what words you have done. I usually tell me to write inequality as x equals. No, inequality is never equals. That's why it's unequal. Alright? The inequality are this symbol. Alright? If you put an equal sign, then that's not inequality. That is an equation. Alright? Just to clarify. Equation has one solution. Alright? This is an equation. This is what we are now, inequality. Alright? So, they tell you to write your answer, the possible solution. Did you see the possible solutions that we have? It's an equal sign. Right here. Because those are our possible x. It is on an equal sign. Okay? But that is not the answer to this. It's always be like that. Just clarifying it. If you're confused, even in your regular class, please ask. Don't let go of that day that you still have question for your teacher. That's why they are there for you, okay, to answer them. to answer those questions, okay? So don't let that they pass without you asking them anything that you're confused with. Let's go to our next example. This might be our last what do you call that, last example that we could work on. All right, let's do this one. The ratio of x and 4 is no less than 9, and 13 more than x is greater than 14. Okay, work on this problem, please. All right, try. This could be our last two problems. We did some problems, it's fine. So the ratio, what is another term for ratio? Kenneth, what is another term for ratio? Selena, what's another term for ratio? In the chat. All right. So the ratio, another term for ratio is fraction, okay? So the fraction of x and 4, the relationship between x and 4. So ratio means it's a fraction of. All right. So work on this problem. All right, try it. I'll give you time. The ratio of x plus 4 is no less than 9. Ratio means fraction. All right. The other term for that is we call fraction. So that's gonna be x plus 4. When it says no less than, so it means it is greater or equal to 9. You always have, if you say no less, it's always the opposite. So now we could just cross multiply. 9 times 4 is how much? How much is 9 times 4? 36, correct? So we could just say, we could just put here like that, and I could just say 36. I don't need to write all the numbers. And it says greater or equal to, oh wait, we have to solve it first. That gonna be 9 times 4 is 36, so it should be greater than that. So the possible solution will be x gonna be 36, 37, and so on. Okay, let's go to the next one. Hey Amy, you already here? You came from Mr. Lancer? So they're gonna be 13 more than, if you say 13 more than x, remember what we've done in equation? So that's x plus 13. It's greater than, oh, so stay. I'm gonna let them go already in like few minutes. Okay, it's greater than 14. Okay, so now we're gonna be doing minus 13. Okay, let me just take this minus 13 both sides, minus 13. So now that's gonna be x is greater than 1. So I could just put 1 here, and it's only greater, not equal to. So that's 1, and it should be greater, so we go here. Okay, so the answer gonna be 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the x is gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. All right. Okay, so we're good. All right then. So I'm letting Kenneth and Selena go. I'll see you guys again on Monday. Okay. Are you guys could go? I'm keeping Amy for next period. All right. Bye bye, Selena. Bye, Kenneth.